Yo, what is up, Kings? I hope all is well. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. I'm going to be talking briefly about the Chen, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin situation, because I kind of have two minds about the whole situation. We're going to get into that, but I also just want to say, maybe I shouldn't, because a lot of you guys probably don't give a fuck about this, but in America, I would say that at least half of the people who are on the road should not be driving on the road. And I know that that's rich coming from me, who's doing a video while I'm driving, but I promise you, I'm a better driver talking with, you know, obviously I don't touch the stuff or anything like that, than a majority of people who fully have their eyes on the road and are not doing this shit. I technically am a professional driver. I have a Class A license. So, anyways, I digress. And I always see these dumb fucks making dumb fucking decisions by stopping in the middle of the road to allow some fucking streetwalker, male or female, to cross the road. And it's like, it's a fucking green light. What are you doing? You're gonna slam your fucking brakes so that somebody can get over the street while they're fucking jaywalking. And I get it, like, you know, you do have to defer to pedestrians, but you'd be surprised just how much leeway is given to that law. Being in a position of leadership, overseeing fleets before, I have seen many occasions where it is actually the pedestrians' fault because they did not follow the street signs. If a pedestrian just crosses a red light, they still are held accountable for not crossing the street properly. And not only that, but I see people all the time fucking getting up on my ass, trying to will me to move or whatever the case may be. And there's just a general sense of selfishness where they literally think that the road fucking belongs solely to them and they can do whatever the fuck they want out here. It's ridiculous. So let's talk about the Chen situation. Obviously, I just went through a ridiculous thing with what I just discussed. And yes, I am a little fucking triggered right now about that. So here's my first thought. And again, I'm not going to talk too much about it because there's still a lot of information coming down the pipeline. But here are kind of my initial thoughts. Number one, if you are somebody, especially if you're a conservative and you're having some sort of emotional response against Chen and all these people because they took money from Russia, you're a fucking moron. Because you know how many of our news organizations take money from China, take money from Israel, take money from India, take money from the oil-rich fucking Muslims in the Middle East? My point is that there are many foreign powers, and this, yes, it is a problem. I agree, it is a problem. But as long as some are able to do it, then all should be able to do it. You can't just pick and choose based off of which country you currently have a decent relationship with and which ones you don't. Just because Russia is invading Ukraine doesn't mean that they cannot do business with people in America. That's fucking stupid. That's ridiculous. But personally, I don't think that things like media should be allowed to take foreign money across the board. Across the board. That includes Israel. That includes Russia. That includes China. All of them not just one for some political fucking... You guys got to understand and stop being so naive. Russia has been used as the boogeyman for the past 6 years, okay? And when you really think about it, Russia plays zero fucking factor in your life whatsoever. And they are no more involved, no more or less involved than other foreign countries that have their fingertips all over our country. And again, I don't like that. I'm America first. But as long as one is able to do it, the others should be able to do it. So that's number one, okay? And so on that front, I'm not like emotional or charged up about the fact that they took money from Russia. Now, the only way that I would say that it's a bad thing is if you can find definitive proof that Dave Rubin, that Lauren Chen, that Tim Pool peddled Russian propaganda for profit. And that's going to be a very hard thing to prove because, you know, in America you have freedom of speech. So how much of it is your own speech versus that you came up with in your own mind, whether you were given money from Russia or not? You would have to find a paper trail where Russia definitively, you have proof where there was a conversation or a paper trail that says, I need you to talk about this in exchange for this amount of money that is propaganda for Russia. And I doubt that it exists. I doubt that it exists. So unless that's the case, that's my first thought on all of this. And my second kind of major thought on this is pretty straightforward, which is within the right wing, and this has been well documented, there obviously are a lot of people who gain notoriety based on a common problem, which is conservative people not having representation. And conservative people, I would even dare say the majority of working class, productive individuals don't have their voices heard. Logic, that is how their side, you know, our side sees ourselves. Logic, common sense practices. We are not being heard. The society that we once knew and loved is diminishing. And so what happens is there are these people that come along that are conservative voices. And they come along and they do definitely capitalize on how the average conservative American, specifically conservative white male American, feels about what is going on in society. And they're able to capitalize on it monetarily, fame, so on and so on. And a lot of them are not willing to risk it. And so it is kind of, and so that's like a critique that somebody like myself would have of these individuals is, why the fuck are you doing this if you're not going to say what needs to be said? If you're going to steer clear of certain topics and shill and be a pussy about what you talk about. Now, I'm not saying that on every single subject you need to go balls to the wall and not be tactful about what it is that you're discussing. There's a way to say what needs to be said with being tactful and mindful. But I will also say that there's a certain mystique and attractiveness to somebody like, you know, a Nick Fuentes who fucking says whatever the fuck he wants at any cost, no matter what. So there's these conservatives that come along, they capitalize, and that is the critique, that a lot of them won't say what needs to be said. And especially when there are these major crackdowns like there is right now. If you go back the last 6 years, 7 years, what has happened, what the kind of schedule of things has been, is There's multiple years where conservative commentators are able to say what they want to say for the most part. There's relatively zero pushback. Nothing gets real. And then close to this is exactly their fucking playbook. This has happened multiple times now. And matter of fact, now as I'm starting to say it, I think I'm going to do another video on this because this is an important subject in and of itself. But every time at or right before, a little bit before the election, there's always somebody who gets, or a few people who is used on the chopping blocks as the sacrificial lamb of thought police. You can't think this. You can't say that. And now we're going to take you down so we scare the fuck out of the population and the rest of the conservative media people. And so what I'm getting at is it's kind of, I don't take pleasure in this. I don't wish ill will on anybody. I'm a Christian, and I don't want to have any sort of animosity and hate in my heart. But there is a certain amount of irony that these Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, not necessarily Lauren Chen, because Lauren Chen has been pretty vocal on some pretty serious issues. Not as much as some other conservative members, but definitely more so than others. I would definitely say she's been more outspoken and taken more risks than somebody like a Dave Rubin. But it's ironic, but even still, she has towed the line a little bit. This mainly applies to Dave Rubin and fucking toe tapper, toe liner, Tim Pool, middle of the road, Tim Pool. And so it's just very interesting how at the end of the day, they tried to navigate and get themselves out of and keep themselves clear and not get into any trouble, not lose their channels. And fucking Lauren Chen's channel is gone today on YouTube. And I'm not saying it's right, guys. Me talking about this is merely an observation. I'm not saying it's right. I don't think that it's right. I don't think that they should lose their channel off of an allegation. But YouTube does this. YouTube goes and follows anything that is mainstream, that the government asked them to do. They are in the pocketbooks of the government. The ABC media companies follow suit with whatever the establishment regime wants them to do. So it's not surprising that they banned Lauren. You really think Lauren Chen was going to be able to keep her channel after having, even if it's only an allegation from Russia? No. I guarantee you that allegation was utilized as a tactic to be able, for YouTube to be able to take Lauren Chen's channel off of their platform in one fell swoop. And think about how crazy that is. Think about how much time and energy these people. Now, I think Dave Rubin will be fine because he belongs to a certain ilk. But think about how much time these people, whether you agree with them or how they go about things, think about how much time they have devoted to their YouTube channel. Hours and hours and hours. I know because I haven't been doing it for as long as they have, but this shit adds up. And let me tell you something. If my channel were to be gone like that, even though I have a smidge of the amount of subscribers that they have, I would be, I wouldn't say I'd be devastated because there still is Rumble, but I would, it would definitely bother me. It definitely would bother me. So this is where we're at. And so that's my second point, is it's ironic and low-key funny, not in like a mean way, just kind of like you can't help but throw your hands up and kind of chuckle sort of way, that they did everything they could to evade the censorship. Sorry, I'm picking my nose, guys. To evade the censorship, and they got hit anyways because of some bullshit. And so that was the whole point. The people who made the critiques, when they said, first they came for me and you said nothing, then they came for whoever and you said nothing, then they came for you and there was no one left. And it's true, because the foundation of that critique is, if they can come for me and have very little pushback, they'll be able to come for you and make up anything they want in order to take you the fuck out. So, and I hate to say it, guys, Trump getting in office won't make a lick of a difference, because he knew that this problem was going on with censorship for a long time. I remember he held the summit for influencers to come to the White House so he could hear the problems that they were facing. And he did, but it went nowhere. Nothing came of it, and that was the end of that. So those are kind of my preliminary thoughts on this. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm sure all of these people have Rumble that they can fall back on, which is good. It's good that Rumble exists, but I am not hopeful that Rumble will exist this way for very much longer. Maybe 2 more years max. And I think that will be the end of it, because in the end, and this is a problem with a capitalistic society, is the almighty dollar speaks the most. And as soon as they get an offer that is worth compromising their position, they will do it. They will do it. And they will start silencing certain voices in order to appease whatever ad company is giving them that dollar amount that they cannot refuse. So we're in a very interesting times, guys. I always say that. But that's why I err on the side of just saying whatever the fuck you gotta say, because no matter what, whether it's this person today or this person tomorrow, hell, maybe it could be this person a year from now, the only reason why it's allowed to be that way is because people self-censor out of fear. And I get why they would do that, but they don't realize that they are contributing to the very system that is able to take them out for the reasons that they're able to take them out. And then here we are. So again, we'll see what happens. If there's any other major news. Oh, that's the other thing that I wanted to add. My second point kind of went in a different direction than I expected. But the other point that I wanted to add was, again, I don't revel in them having this happen to them, but I really don't believe that no matter what country it is, should be able to influence media commentators, political commentators, or really any media organizations. I think it needs to be solely America. And so what I was getting at in the second point before I derailed it is these conservatives are able to capitalize on the American conservative, the white male conservative, feeling a certain way But at the end of the day, and this is why I always caution you guys against this, we don't know who these people are. We think we do, but we don't know who the fuck they are. We don't know what the fuck they do. And it's the same for me. You guys don't know what I, you know, fully what I'm about, what I do every second of every day. And so that leaves room for them to get away with doing certain things. And ultimately, again, we don't know who these people are completely. And it's just very interesting how you end up seeing just how much these people are willing to do just for a few more dollars. And you see kind of what is most important to them, which is their dollars, making money. Make no mistake, if doing this was not profitable, a lot of them would cease to do it. Yes, sure, some of them probably do want to make some change, but ultimately they want to make a living from this. So you have to be careful with that. You have to be careful with anybody who, and I'm not saying that they cannot be real and a good person, because there are people who make money doing this that I do trust for the most part their information. But I'm saying you should be at least somewhat skeptical and cautiously optimistic about anybody in this space that is able to profit from your money doing this, on the left or the right. On the left or the right. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything else I want to add before I drop this, maybe I'll do another clip and combine it. But for now, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts or feelings, because your feelings just matter. I love you, King. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace. So I actually finished this video and was going to stop it there. So when you actually see this clip, it's going to... There's a time period before this where you're going to see me ending the show. So I'm adding a clip to this. The other aspect to the whole Lauren Chen thing is obviously because she's an e-girl, it kind of does add some added humor, I guess. I mean, obviously it sucks and her life is going to likely be irrevocably changed. I mean, you guys don't realize... Well, maybe you do, but I don't think by and large people have a pulse on just how serious this is. There have been right-wing figures that, for the most part, are okay. Like, I would consider okay. Like, for example, the guy that works for InfoWars, Owen Schroyer. I don't think he's 100% based, or as based as I am. Very few people are, but he's pretty based. He went to fucking jail, guys, okay? So obviously, this shit is real, okay? And Lauren Chen has a kid. She just had a kid. Her dad had cancer. Now, as a critique, again, the way things are now, I don't see anything wrong with her taking money from Russia. It looks like she definitely did, which I'll circle back to. So from that standpoint, I have no issue, and this is a crock of shit, which I'm going to elaborate on in a moment. But my actual thoughts on this are, and I've said this throughout this video, I don't want any outside countries influencing in any way, shape, or form American politics. But since they do, what else can really be done? And since this is the actual playing field, I think that this is a load of shit. But with that said, I want everybody to make as much money as they can without selling their soul, and hopefully she has not. So under the assumption that she has not sold her soul, okay, taking $10 million is a lot of fucking money, guys. That's a lot of fucking money. And I already touched upon this, but it's like, you know, again, that's why in this whole space you have to be very cautious about how much you're willing to give yourself to this information and to any individual person and what they say. Even me, I think you should be cautious about the things that I say. Now, I don't have any ulterior motives. I have been a conservative my whole life, and I want to share my knowledge and beliefs. And I've said time and time again, my number one goal, and I think that this is the most successful way to go about it, is to always tell the truth the way that I see it. Tell it like it is, even if it's an uncomfortable truth. And even if that means losing subscribers here and there. I'm okay with that. But so assuming, but again, you guys should always be cautious, okay? Assuming that she didn't sell her soul, taking $10 million is a lot of fucking money. And it just goes to show, you know, everything in America ends up becoming a business sooner or later. And it is kind of humorous, the added element of her being an e-girl and her e-girling out by way of getting $10 million, you know. But I don't want to be too critical of that, because again, other countries give money to political figures, media companies, shit like that. And the way things are set up now, I don't really think she's done anything wrong. And I want people to make as much money as possible, but still, I mean, $10 million is like, that didn't raise an eyebrow for you, Lauren? About maybe it wasn't the smartest idea? But you can excuse her for it, because again, there's nothing really wrong with it. Don't let these conservative or faux conservative individuals on the internet acting shocked and being outraged and playing the victim or having faux outrage about this. Make no mistake, this is what they tried to do to Donald Trump in 2015. Russia is the boogeyman. And so the last thing I believe that I want to say on this is, and this is probably the most important, if you don't think that things in the West, the government, the system that we live within, the goings on, the system is manipulated and orchestrated, and that there are outright carried out attacks against figures and political individuals, opponents, or whatever you want to call it, you are fucking naive and you have your head buried in the sand. And I always say this, like, when people watch movies, they're not surprised to see that human beings have ulterior motives. But for some reason, when it comes to real life, people are strangely naive and ignorant to the reality of the situation. And this situation, and you know, I could be wrong as further information comes out, but as of now, what it appears to me, and I will change and make a video if anything further comes out that's worthy of changing my opinion. But as of now, this is a political operation. Okay, they've done this in the previous election cycles. They are trying to take out anybody and everybody that has been associated with Donald Trump and his original America First nationalistic agenda, because that scared the fuck out of them when they saw all of these people gather around a figure like Trump when he was a true OG back in 2015. He's no longer that figure, in my opinion. But when he was, that scared the fuck out of the establishment. And they are trying to send messages to the plebs of society, the working class, the normal everyday citizen. Don't fuck with us. Don't go against us. This is a political operation. And if you think that that's far-fetched, I don't know how else to I don't know what else to tell you. Because if you are butthurt about this situation and in a trough, in an outrage, offended, upset, trifled by this situation, then you need to be upset with other countries' influence here in America. And believe you me, there's a lot. Just to name a few. United Kingdom, okay? In no particular order. United Kingdom, Israel, the Middle East, multiple countries, wealthy fucking oil extractors from the Middle East, India, China. All of them have a hand in the goings-on of our political system here in America. Because, and this is the downside to capitalism, because our country is for sale. And that is why I am not completely and utterly a capitalist. I lean that way naturally because I believe in competition and hierarchy and things like that, and getting what you truly deserve and have earned. But the downside to it is that at the ending point, your country becomes basically a whore and is sold bit by bit by bit. And everything within it, the land, the people, the politician, whatever the case may be, is all for sale. All right, guys, I think that will really be it. Be sure to smash the subscribe button. I'll see you later, Kings. DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts are feelings because your feelings just matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.